Hello Easy Nation! So today I am bringing you a new YouTube series start on this channel. I'm going to call it the Top 5 series. What this series is going to be is I'm going to go over a director or an actor's career. Now usually I will try to theme it around an actor or director that's coming out. So eventually I will have another director which I will reveal who I'm doing at the end of this video. So to find that out, you have to check out the end of this video. So stay tuned for the whole video. But for this video, I am going to highlight the career of the great Japanese director, Miyazaki. So without any further delays, let me talk about some Miyazaki. Alright, so before I go into his top 5, I thought I'd give you a little background of who Miyazaki is, because a lot of people in America do not know who Miyazaki is. Miyazaki, he was born in Japan, and he has been compared as the Japanese Steven Spielberg or the Japanese Walt Disney. Now, over watching his movies, I watched his movies from chronological. So I watched from Nausea, The Valley of the Wind, up to The Wind Rises. And over watching his career of movies, I can tell you of some themes that he has done in many of his movies. For one theme, he has a great love of the environment. You see that in Nausea, The Valley of the Wind, how the girl, she's trying to save the forest from the people trying to destroy the forest. Or you can see that in Princess Mononoke, where Princess Mononoke and the main guy, they're trying to save the forest from all the humans, that the humans and the forest can live together. It's a very environmental message. But he also has a great love of planes in his movies. You can see that in his appreciation of his last movie, The Wind Rises. You see him, it's just a complete guy who loves planes. You can tell that's pretty much Miyazaki. Or you can see that in like all of his other characters that has something plane related to. You see that in Nausea, the movie. You see that in all of his movies. You see that in Kikis, where Special Delivery Service, where she's flying on a broomstick and she catches an eye of a little kid who loves flying airplanes. The other thing you can really see is a feminist message through most of his movies. Not a feminism message, but there are really strong female characters in every one of his movies. It's really surprising you see as many strong females as you do in animation, especially how long ago he started from the 1980s up till 2013. Now, this is really progressive for animation, because usually if you go back to the Disney era of the Walt Disney, up till like before even Frozen, you see that the female characters were always playing the same character they always been playing, the damsel in distress. Miyazaki, he completely changes that trend. The women characters, they're strong, they lead the movies. A lot of the characters, they have a progression that changes them forever. Like in Kikis Special Delivery, you see the little girl, she starts out one character. When she leaves home, she becomes a completely different character. The same thing with Sin in Spirited Away. She does the exact same thing. Miyazaki could be considered the greatest animation director of all time. He has won an Oscar for the movie Spirited Away. Spirited Away was the first animated film from Japan to win an Oscar. He always gets big people in America to do the English dub of the characters. You have like Christian Bale, you have Michael Keaton, you have Liam Neeson, you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Emily Blunt. All these actors want to do these Miyazaki films. Without any further delay, let's get to my top 5 Miyazaki films. But before that, the reason I started watching the Miyazaki films was because I did a top 20 video with Anime Punk. Anime Punk, he had one of Miyazaki's movies, Princess Mononoke, in his top 20. And I have to say, that was a great movie. But unfortunately, I'm sorry, Anime Punk, but Princess Mononoke does not make my top 5. For me, Princess Mononoke had too much of a preachy message to it about the environment and kind of forces it down your throat. And for me, a movie that does that, I'm just not crazy about. I mean, I still think it's a great movie. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I think it's a really good movie. It just did not make my top 5. Alright, so at number 5, I have Porco Rosso. Alright, so Porco Rosso was a movie set around a post-World War I era. Porco Rosso, he was a man who turned into a pig. And you don't really get much more backstory than that, which I'm completely fine with. He's a bounty hunter in Spain somewhere. But he's a bounty hunter. He's getting money. He has this really rare plate that's really hard to control. And all the Italians, they want after him. But really, it doesn't take it's not really a storyline. It's more of a character story of Porco Rosso. And he meets this girl. I forget what her name is, but she's a great character in the movie. But what's really cool about the movie is Porco Rosso, he builds a rivalry with Donald Curtis, who's like an American film star who is a plane. And they kind of have a rivalry between each other. It was really cool shot animation. I really like the planes shooting at each other, and it's a really cool movie. Also, Michael Keaton voices Porco Rosso, so that's pretty cool. At number 4, I have Kikis Delivery Service. Now, Kikis Delivery Service is, people would probably be surprised that Kikis is in my list, but I have to say I really enjoy the progression of the story of this character. She starts out as a young witch who, when they become 13, they must leave home and start a life in a city that doesn't have a witch. I found that a really interesting concept. So, each witch, they have a skill. And Kiki, she doesn't really have a skill. But what she does is she decides to create a delivery service with her broom, since she can fly really fast on her broomstick. Now, the reason I like this movie, it's a character piece. There's not really a story going on. It's just, you start with her. She's 13. She leaves home. And really, she starts doubting herself. She loses her powers. She loses her best friend Gigi, her cat. Also, you have a character in the movie who he loves planes and he likes hanging out with this girl, and he shows her his bike and how he wants to fly. He wants to be a pilot one day. And since Kiki can fly with her broomstick, she shares the same kind of love of flying, which is another example of Miyazaki's love of flying. At number 3, I have Castle in the Sky. Castle in the Sky I really enjoyed. This is the second Miyazaki film I had checked out. And this is pretty much about, there's this girl who she's a inherited child of the Castle Laputa, which is the castle in the sky. And she has this necklace which has magical powers or something. Well, she's trying to escape from these pirates and the army. And first you're like, man, the army is terrible. And then you realize the pirates are terrible at first because the pirates were the first really bad guys you saw in the movie. But realize toward the end of the movie, the pirates are actually the good guys in the movie, which was really surprising. I actually liked how you view a character one way, but actually find out they're not really that bad. They're just doing a job. Also, the main character, he wants to find the Castle Laputa because his father, he flight airplanes in his younger days, and he wants to find the castle just like his father, because people said his father was nuts. At number 2, this was going to be my number 1, and I was really questioning what should be my number 1, number 2, and really at the end of the day I have to say my number 2 and number 1 are probably interchangeable at a flip of a coin. But for right now, while I'm doing this video, I'm saying number 2 is Spirited Away. Spirited Away is a pretty much perfect movie. Spirited Away, you follow this girl. She's named Sin. She has another name too, but that's hard to say. Sin, she's with her family, and they go out to this old abandoned carnival. And their parents find all this food. They eat it, and they turn into pigs. And it turns into this very Alice in Wonderland feel to it. In the movie, the beginning of the movie, Sin, she starts out as this cowardly character who doesn't really know anything. She's really unsure of herself. By the end of the movie, she's very confident. She can do anything she really wants to. And she also has a great love for the character Haku. Haku's like a dragon and a water spirit, which is pretty cool. I really enjoy the character piece. And this is the movie that won an Oscar in 2001 or 2, one of those years. And I have to say, this is a pretty perfect movie, and I think everyone should check it out. And my number 1 movie, a lot of people have not seen this one, and that's okay. And really, I'm probably overrating this movie a lot. But my number 1 Miyazaki film is The Wind Rises. Now, The Wind Rises. Does it have problems? Yes. But many people, for me, I'm a history buff. And this is the one most unique Miyazaki film because it doesn't even feel like a Miyazaki film. The women in The Wind Rises are not strong compared to a regular Miyazaki film. There's no fantasy element to it. This is really a fictionalized biopic of the guy who created the fighter planes for the Japanese army during World War II. It's set in a post-World War I era where you see the Great Depression hitting Japan. But really, it's not really about, yeah, go Japan, kill America, or America, kill Japan. It's really about the main character who is trying, he loves planes, and he has such a fanism of planes. You know, whenever I do my videos about Star Wars, I kind of geek out. This is the same way the guy reacts when he geeks out about airplanes. And he has a dream of building airplanes as a kid, and as an adult, he still has that dream and trying to keep holding on to that dream no matter what. And that's what I really appreciate about this movie. The history, the historical stuff about this movie, like the stuff about Manchuria, China, how Japan's gonna blow up during the war. It's amazing. It's a really great movie, and it might be the history buff in me that really loves this movie the best, but for me, it is the most unique Miyazaki film I have seen because it breaks all the modes from every Miyazaki film I have seen so far. It has no fantasy element to it. The women are not that strong in the movie, which is completely unique for this kind of movie, and that's why I really liked it. And I have to say, The Wind Rises is my favorite Miyazaki film. So guys, thanks for checking out my top 5 Miyazaki films of all time. Now, I know some people are probably going to say that I miss a few, like Princess Mononoke. I understand if people think that's better than like The Wind Rises or Porco Rosso or any of those movies. But for me, these 5 movies stand out for me. In the comment section below, I want you, Easy Nation, to write down your top 5 Miyazaki films of all time. You don't have to see them all, but you can, or just give me one. Tell me which one of the movies I should have put in my top 5. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you a brief little info about my next top 5 video. My next top 5 video will be The Great Director. So, allow on, my top 5 videos are going to be around a director with a movie coming out. Now, the movie Bridge of Spies comes out October 16th, and that movie is directed by the great Steven Spielberg. So that's right, I am doing a top 5 video sometime in October around the career of Steven Spielberg. I am starting from Jaws all the way up to Lincoln, and it's going to be a really fun series to do. So I hope y'all check that out. And so if you like this video, click that thumbs up button. Subscribe to see more. All too easy.